The Flood Fill tool allows us to fill in areas of our selection, object, or design area with just a single click. It works by replacing the colour of the pixels on the current layer with the fill colour we have selected in the colour panel. To start using this tool, we need to be in the pixel persona found in the top left of the toolbar, and we also need to add a new pixel layer via the Layers panel or by pressing Command-Shift-N on Mac, Control-Shift-N on Windows. I've got this simple vector-based camera icon here, so let's try recolouring it using the Flood Fill tool instead of changing the individual shapes themselves. Let's grab the tool on the left-hand side and let's select a colour with the colour panel. If we look at the context toolbar, we can see some settings we have available to us. The tolerance level can be adjusted to set the range of pixels being filled, and we can also click and drag to adjust this on the fly. Having a lower tolerance setting means our fill will only consider pixels that closely match the target area we start from. Increasing the tolerance will increase the areas which become filled. The contiguous setting is a very important one as well. With this enabled, we will only be able to fill to our selected pixel boundary. Having this option turned off will fill to all of the available matching pixels which are currently visible instead. Anti-aliasing is now available here too. If this option is off, your filled area will be up to the edge of your pixel selection, whereas with anti-aliasing enabled, the filled areas often appear smoother due to the extra pixels being filled. We can also change the blend mode with this drop-down box here, and then finally we can decide on our source layer. This is possibly the most important setting to consider, and we have 3 options to choose from. We can select current layer and below, or layers beneath, which is my preferred option. My workflow usually involves working with a pixel layer at the top of my layer stack, with vector or raster-based line work underneath that. So with this setting, I can keep my fill layers and my line layers totally separate, which gives me more editing options later on. One last thing to show you with this example is by using Command on Mac or Control on Windows and clicking on the thumbnail of the layer itself, we now have a selection of all of the pixels within that layer. So now we can turn these layers off, go to our new pixel layer, and fill as we have before. This is just another example of how you might make your pixel selections before you use the Flood Fill tool itself. Now let's look at another practical use case in this next document. Here I have an embedded DWG file, and if I zoom in, you can see that we're working with the original vector curves, and I haven't had to rasterize any of the line work at all. On top of that, with it being an embedded file, I also have the option to edit it within Designer via the context toolbar or by double-clicking the layer thumbnail. This is particularly impressive when you're working with DWG or DXF CAD files like we are here. But this example would also work with a layered PDF file as well. So let's go ahead and highlight some areas of this floor plan using the Flood Fill tool. First, I'm going to make a new pixel layer and then choose an appropriate colour from the colour panel. Now with the Flood Fill tool selected and our preferred settings enabled, let's start to fill some of these areas. I'm just going to add some colour to these sections. And for extra flexibility, I'm going to create a new pixel layer for each new colour. So now with this next layer, I'll change to a pink colour instead. I'll do one more layer and change this to yellow. And because we've put these on separate pixel layers, we can easily turn them on or off, depending on what we want to highlight in our design work. But now what we can do is select one of these layers and make the most of our layer effects. We can do this by utilising the shortcut we have on our Layers panel or via the dedicated Quick Effects panel too. Here we are able to very easily, non-destructively, change the colour of our new fill layers. This is particularly useful if you need to make a variation of what you've been working on, or if one of the colours you chose previously is no longer suitable for what you had initially intended. And as you can see, this can easily be switched on or off to our preference as well. So that was a brief look at how the Flood Fill tool works and some practical examples of how you might use it in your design work. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.